Hi folks, today we're going to do some work on division. There are 3 different levels that I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to do each one and move on if you're ready. So the first division is a little bit like you will have done in the starter. I'm going to do an example now. So the first thing that I'm looking at, remember it's the 5 that I'm trying to fit into these other numbers. And rather than try and fit the 5 into 800, I can just deal with each one at a time. So the first step that I'm going to do is, does a 5 fit into an 8? How many 5s fit into an 8? Well, 1 5 fits into an 8. But if 1 5 fits in, how many would be left over? There'd be 3 left over. Now I'm thinking about this next number. How many 5s fit into 33? 6 5s fit into 33, but how many would be left over? Because 6 5s are 30. So there'd be 3 left over. How many 5s fit into 35? 7. So one thing that you really need to know, you need to know your tables to be able to do this. And it's all about fitting numbers in. How many of this number fit in? How many of this number fit in to each of these numbers? Remembering to carry over any remainders where you need to. Now this is the first level and you should have come across this quite a few times already. If you want some practice on this bit, pause the video now and do section A of the worksheet. If you think you're all right on this bit, keep watching, and this is for section B. Okay, the next level of division is what we call, there's not a proper name for it, but it's division by 2 factors, and it's when it gets a bit harder. And there's actually 2 possible methods to do this kind of question. So the question we're going to look at first is 6,588 divided by 12. And I'm going to try and do it using the first method first. Now remember, you need to know your 12 times table to be able to do this one. Now I know that 12 times 5 is 60. So how many 12s fit into 65? I can't do how many 12s fit into 6 because they don't fit. So I've carried the 6. How many 12s into 65? That's 5. If 12 5s are 60, then there must be 5 left over. How many 12s fit into 58? I know 12 times 4 is 48. So how many 12s fit into 58? That must be 4 with 10 left over. I know that 12 times 9 is 108. So how many 12s fit into 108? 9. So our answer is 549. But there's another way to do these ones. And I'm going to show it you on this right-hand side. What we can do to make this a bit quicker and easier if we're not so sure about that times table is we can split this number into 2 factors. Now you've got a choice with 12. You could split it into the factor pair 6 and 2, because it has to be a factor pair. Or you can split it into a factor pair 4 and 3. You could split it into the factor pair 12 and 1, but that wouldn't really help because we've already divided by 12 on the left. And I'm going to go with 4 and 3 because I'm happy with my 4 times table and my 3 times table. Because if I'm dividing by 4, then dividing by 3, I need to be happy with those tables. Doesn't matter whether you divide by 4 or 3 first. So I'm going to do 6,588 divided by 4. How many 4s fit into 6? 1 with 2 left over. How many 4s fit into 25? 6 with 1 left over. How many 4s fit into 18? 4 with 2 left over. And how many 4s fit into 28? 7. Now we've divided by the factor of 4, so we take our answer and we divide by the other factor, the 3. I'm not going to speak as I do this one. Please try and follow what I'm doing. And notice we get the same answer with either method. Now, you might be good at your 12 times table. You might not need that second method for this one. Let me give you another example. So we're going to look at 3,744 divided by 24. Do you know your 24 times table? I don't. The first thing I would have to do, if I'm going to do it like this, the first thing I would have to do is write down my 24 times table down the side of the page. Now that was quite quick, but to be honest, that's the point where lots of people make a mistake with this method, which is why I actually recommend the second method that I've been showing you, when the number is double digits and quite big. Now I've not written the whole of the 24 times table down because I'm not sure I'm going to need it all. If I need any more of it, I'll go back and add more on, but at the minute I'm just going to see how it goes. So the first thing I'm looking at is how many 24s fit into 37. That's 1, 13 left over. How many 24s fit into 134? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't go any further because that goes too high. 5. 5 24s are 120, so that must mean there's 14 left over. How many 24s fit into 144? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 156. I don't like that method because I know how easy it is to make a mistake. This bit is very easy to make a mistake in. And if you notice, all the numbers in here are a lot more crowded and complicated. Now, I might have made it look easy, but remember I'm a maths teacher. You try some of these this way and double check you get the right answer because it's very easy to make a mistake. I actually think this other method is much better. Let's split 24 into 2 factors. And there's a choice. You can use 8 and 3, 12 and 2, 6 and 4. Whichever of those pairs, if you think I'm good at the 8 and the 3 times table, I'm good at the 4 and the 6 times table, I'm all right at the 12 and the 2 times table, you choose the pair where you think, actually, I'm most confident with the 4 and the 6 times table, because it doesn't matter which you use, you'll still get the same answer. If you don't believe me, try it out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 4. 4's in 37. I've got 9 4's in 37, 1 left over. 3 4's in 14, 2 left over. And 6 4's in 24. Take your answer, then divide by the 6. I've got 1 6 in 9 with 3 left over. I've got 5 6's in 33 with 3 left over. And I've got 6 6's in 36. And you can see we get to the same answer. I find this method much easier. Even though I'm doing it twice, I'm much less likely to make a mistake and I'm quicker on each bit. And that's the method that I would really like you to try. It's worth having a go at this. So you split your divisor, the number you're dividing by, into 2 factors. You divide by one of them, then you take the answer and divide by the other one. There are going to be times when that doesn't work. Here's an example. 2,795 divided by 43. I haven't got a choice which method I need for this one. Sorry. I don't know why it's not moving that line. Never mind. I haven't got a choice which method I use for this one. Because 43, what's 43? It's a prime number. That means its only factors are 1 and 43, which means I can't split it into a factor pair. I will have to write out the 43 times table. And if I know I'm doing this, it's this bit that you will make a mistake on. So be really, really careful if you're going to write out the times table that you really careful to get it right. Remember, this will be on your calculator paper, so you're not going to have time. You're not going to be able to check all this on a calculator. So I'm going to do 2,795 divided by 43. Doesn't fit into 2. Doesn't fit into 27. So I'm looking at 279. So I know I need to go a bit further. 215 add 43 is 258. This is where it's really, you might want to quickly do this because if you're in an exam, you'll be stressed and pressured. 258, I'm going to add one more onto that. That's 11, that's 10, that's 301. So that'll work for me. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there. And I need to do 279, take away 258, just to see what the remainder is, 21. And there, how many 43s fit in 215? Well, do you know what? I know I've got it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it fits in exactly. So I know the answer is going to be 65. That's quite a tough one because it's a big number, it's a prime number, you can't split it into factors. If you can split it into factors, I do think it'd be easier. So, if you need to watch this again, please do that on your iPad. Now you're moving on to section B, and I want all of you to do this one. Section A was optional, section B, you must do section B. If you finish section B, come back to the video and watch the next section too. Okay, the final version of division we're going to look at, and it's all the same method, but what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at converting fractions to decimals. And I just want you to think about what this fraction 5/8 means. It means 5 divided by 8. 8 is the divisor. So we're going to do 5 divided by 8. The biggest mistake people make on this one is they get the numbers in the wrong place. You must put the divisor where the divisor goes. It's 5 divided by 8. How many 8s fit into 5? They don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 0 that is there, but we don't write. I can use as many of them as I like. 8 doesn't fit into 5, so I carry the 5 over. Now, because I've gone past the decimal, I just need to fill that in on the top because we do need a decimal in our answer if we're dividing into decimals in our sum. How many 8s fit into 50? 6 times 8 is 48. So there are 6 8s in 50 with 2 left over. How many 8s fit into 20? 2 with 4 left over. You can just keep going with the zeros, as many as you need. How many 8s fit into 40? 5. So 5/8 as a decimal is 0.625. So the final thing of division is about changing fractions to decimals, but also dividing where there's a remainder, because we don't really deal with remainders anymore. We want a decimal answer. So I'll just show you 2 more. So here's another example that uses the same idea. 372 divided by 5. Okay, so there's nothing there to carry it over to, so we pop ourselves a decimal and we need that 0 because 372 is the same as 372.0. How many 5s in 20? 4. So our answer would be 74.4. Now, you may have seen this one before, just want a little bit of practice with this, but I'm going to mix it up with fractional ones as well. For instance, now I want you to try 1/9. Remember, that means 1 divided by 9. Remember, this is the divisor, so it must look like this. I'm going to put the decimal because I need it. 1 fits with 1 left over. Can you see what's happening? And do you know what this one is? What happens here? This just keeps going forever. Do you know what that's called? It's called a recurring decimal, and we don't write it like I have here. We put a little dot on top of the 1 to show that the 1 recurs. The 1 keeps going. So it's 0.11111, and it keeps going. Okay, so you have a worksheet. Section A is the most basic division. Section B is the one you may not have seen before. I'd like you all to do that. Section C is a mixture of the stuff I've just shown you, and there's additional questions in that. Is it recurring? Things like that. If you finish that, there's an extension task. So please get on with the work as best you can.